Hey, I'm Wes with Hardware Resources, and today we're going to be looking at the boring machines. I'm going to show you how to unbox and set up boring machines. The first thing you need to know is that when it shows up, it's going to look just like this. It's going to be inside of a wooden crate. You're going to need a crowbar, a hammer, or something to open that up. Okay, now that we've uncrated the boring machine, we're going to set it up on the table. Now remember, this is a 220 volt single phase boring machine. The outlet, the male adapter, is going to look like this right here, and they have to have this set up in order for it to work in the shop. Now that we've plugged in the boring machine, what we're going to do is we're going to walk around and we're going to show some of the features that are on this. This is where you're going to get your power from. So once your machine's plugged in, you're going to turn this lever to the on position, and now it's hot. After you've turned on your boring machine, you're going to see the power indicator light is going to be here. The start, clamp, and set and press are all right here in order for you to operate the boring machine. Now, once you've opened the crate, you have it all wired up and it's sitting here. Now it's time to set up your boring machine. So your boring machine is going to come with instructions like this, as well as a tool bag like this. That tool bag is going to have a wrench like this, and that is to open up to the electrical panel inside if something needs to be worked on. An empty box like this where drill bits can be placed. Your drill bits will already be installed on the machine, so this is just a handy little thing that they leave with you. You also have all of your Allen wrenches that are set up. Multiple wrenches in order to adjust multiple different things, which we'll be going over soon. The next thing we want to talk about are the pneumatic arms. These pneumatic arms, when the air is plugged in and everything's ready and you hit the clamp button, what's going to happen is this is what's going to hold your door down in order for this machine to bore. So it's just going to come down, hold the door, then you're going to run the bore and it's going to come back up. You'll release the clamps and be able to move the door again. The next feature on this machine that we want to talk about is the tab adjustment. These machines are going to come set at 3 millimeters. Now we all know that that's going to change depending on the hinge that you're using, but for all of our machines, they come pre-adjusted at 3 millimeters. And the way you adjust that is by using this. You'll see it's already set to 3. Then you can maneuver it to the left, which will give you more tab, to the right, which will bring that fence in. The next thing we want to talk about are the bits. So you've got an 8 millimeter bit and the 35 millimeter boring bit. The orange ones are the ones that are actually in our catalog, and those you can order straight out of the book. But when you're online, you're going to notice that there's also another boring bit that's available. Those are for our old machines. So anytime you have a new machine out there, these are the only two, the ones that are in the catalog, that you're going to need. Also, you have the 35 millimeter bit, and nothing's changed with that one. Another feature on the boring machine are these dog ears. And the way they're used is you can bump your door up against them, and that sets where the actual boring machine is going to bore down into the wood. So this gives the distance from top to bottom, and all of that is adjustable right here. You just loosen this, slide it left or right, and that's going to give you the adjustable setup that you need. Also, something else that doesn't come with this machine, but a lot of people like to do, is they like to put felt across the top of this bar system here. And what that does is it allows you not to scratch your door once it's been painted. If they're boring after paint, what have you, that's really a nice feature in order to keep and make sure that your door stays in good shape. The next thing that we're going to talk about is back here on the back. Now this feature in the back is going to adjust the depth of the bore on the door, and you're going to need 2 wrenches for that. One to the back, one to the bottom. The top one goes to the right, the bottom one goes to the left in order to loosen up. And there's a gauge on the bar on the back of the machine that we'll be showing you in order for you to adjust that depth properly. Also, something that gets overlooked quite often are the hoses. On these machines, you're going to be replacing these from time to time. You just take the quick connect and push it toward the fitting this way, and it comes out. You take it back in, the new hose, push it back in, stab it in, pull it back out, and now it's locked in. So it's very easy to change out the hoses on these machines. So what we want to talk about now is the regulator. The regulator is on the right hand side of this machine. When you go to plug in the air, Be careful because it's going to energize this machine and everything's going to go into the start position. So you don't want to get your hand caught up in here when you do it and have an issue. All you're going to do is take the end of your air hose and plug it up, and everything is going to lift up and get put into place. There are adjustments that need to be made when your boring machine arrives. You're going to need to set this up. Right now it looks like it's set up somewhere between 120, about 140 PSI. I typically see that the boring machines need to be set somewhere between 60 and 90, sometimes a hair over, and I'll show you how to set that up. All you need to do is lift up and turn, and that's going to regulate your air. As you turn it to the left, it's going to leak air and let pressure come out. And then when you turn it to the right, it will open up and allow more pressure to go into it. Typically, you're going to find that the regulator needs to be between 60 and say 90 pounds. Sometimes you may fudge over a little bit here or there depending on what you need. Also, you're going to see that there's oil in this cylinder right here. That oil actually doesn't go to the machine, to the actual motor or anything. What that does is it picks up a little bit of that oil and it disperses it all through these hoses in order to keep those lubricated so that they don't dry rot. You're going to see regulators from time to time go out. Typically that's because you jack this thing way up to something high, and what it's done is it's finally just blown the seals on it. Just from time to time when you take a look at your setup, just go by and look at it. If you see that it's way up high, you may want to back it down a little bit and just know it doesn't need to have it that high up. So also part of the boring machine and what you'll get with it is something that looks like this. You're going to have our hinge already mounted on the block of wood, as well as the bore right here. And all this is a bore sample to tell you, okay, we've set the machine at 3 millimeters and this is our proof that we did so. Now, in order for you to know if it's actually 3 millimeters, the best thing to use is a caliper. You can take that caliper and you put it in here and you want to measure that tab because that's what you're looking for. And right here, as long as you have it centered, it's at 3.02, which is plenty good enough for the tab for this setup. All right, so now that we've discussed the sample piece that comes with the boring machines, and they show you that they've already got it to a 3 millimeter tab, and you see that you're set up here. What happens if this fence gets shuffled during shipment and now it's out of adjustment? What you see here is a dish out from where this was bored down and bored through the plastic and the aluminum here. Now, that's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. What we want to show you is what to do. In order to adjust the fence, what you're going to find is the Allen wrench that it came with, and there's an adjustment screw right here and right here. So you loosen this fence up, as well as this back fence here. Make sure that these are up, and then you'll be able to maneuver this backwards. Once you've determined that the fence was too far forward and you needed to move the fence back because it was jostled during shipment, what you're going to do is you're going to loosen these 2 Allen bolts right here. You'll move that fence back, and then you'll want to tighten these back down to hold it. You don't need to tighten the bolts back for now, because right now all you're going to be doing is just making a test cut to see if you've gotten the bore close to where it needs to be. What you'll do is you'll take it, clamp it down, there's a quick test cut, and as you can see, we've moved the fence far enough back and it's where it needs to be. Another feature about our boring machine is this right here. These regulate the air pressure, which in turn increases or decreases the speed of the bore going up and down. Up is up, down is down. So when you turn this to the left, you're going to increase the speed going upward. And when you turn this bottom one to the left, you'll increase the speed of it going downward. Bore things quicker, faster, and easier. There's a lock washer on the back of it, so once you get it set to wherever you want it, you just turn this dial, lock it in, lock this one in, and it'll hold its place. Another feature of this boring machine is this plastic piece right here, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's just a guard to keep your fingers out and make sure that they don't get cut up or cut off. But another cool feature about this is on the back side, and this is made for a shop vac or just the vacuum system that the shop has. They can put the hose on here, and then when it plunges down and makes the borehole, it'll actually suck all of the wood chips out in order to clean it up and make it nice and easy. Okay, now what we're gonna do is bore this door and go through the process of what needs to happen in order to make that work. So you're gonna take your door and set it on the fence. Of course, this is the fence. You're gonna rest it up against the preset dog ear, which is here. Make sure your hands are clear. You're gonna turn the clamp button. That's gonna bring it down. So now everything's set in place and locked in. All you need to do now is press the start button. That's gonna bore it. Normally, if you had the hose hooked up to the back, that would push all this away. Then you're gonna take your hinge, set it to the ram, push it down. Use the set and press button, which is gonna bring that down. Push it and bring it back up. Release the clamps, and now you've successfully bored a door.